very like grandiose
One
look
thing,
of
one thing
nature.
that I could not do and make it readable at all was to write it in a mid 18th century voice. You can't do that because people really don't realize how different our manner of speaking and writing were in the mid 18th century from from the founding of the country up till the American Revolution. By the 1820s, 1830s, the voice of the people in the United States of America was starting to get closer to what we still use now, in terms of locutions, in terms of the way we speak and everything. But it was very different in the 1780s. For one thing, spelling was very make it up as you go along.
Kind of erratic.
And there was, plus there was just a lot of things that were very different in the way we spoke and the way we wrote. I knew that wouldn't work. So what I had to do was to come up with a language that was midway between the language of the 18th century and the language of our current day, to make it so that a reader now would not be stopped strictly by the language. I also wanted to do, one of the other things I wanted to do from an artistic point of view was that I wanted to incorporate the everything that had changed and that we had learned in the epic poem in the past 100 years, because there have been so many interesting epic poems. And my starting place was the cantos by Ezra Pound. But there were many others that I read and studied as well, or that I already knew as well, or that I already knew. So there was a lot that I had to decide. Bartram's voice was never something I was going to use directly, although I did use chunks from the book all through it. But they're very selective. They're often rewritten, and they often include things that are not in the book at all that I created for the scope of the narrative. And I had to decide also what sort of formal devices poetic devices I was going to have to use. So there was a lot to learn. Voice was one of them, and Bartram's voice from the very beginning was an interesting one, but it wasn't one that I could use profitably as the voice of a narrative poet.
Okay. Well, so